In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, but God's Spirit hovered over the waters. Then God spoke, and his words brought light, separating day from night. As the days passed, God continued to create, forming the sky, the land, and the seas. He filled the earth with plants, animals, and finally humanity. God formed Adam, the first man, from the dust of the earth. He breathed life into Adam's nostrils, and the man became a living being. Adam's eyes opened, and he took his first breath. He looked around, taking in the beauty of the Garden of Eden, the paradise God had created for him. The garden was a lush and vibrant place, filled with towering trees, sparkling rivers, and an abundance of food. Adam explored the garden, marveling at its wonders. But as he walked, he felt a sense of loneliness. He was the only human being in the garden, and he longed for companionship. God saw Adam's loneliness and decided to create a companion for him. He put Adam into a deep sleep and took one of his ribs. From the rib, God formed Eve, the first woman. When Adam awoke, he saw Eve standing before him. He was immediately drawn to her, and they felt an instant connection. Adam and Eve lived in the garden, enjoying each other's company and the beauty of their surroundings. They spent their days exploring, learning, and growing together. But as time passed, a subtle enemy began to whisper in their ears. The serpent, a cunning and deceitful creature, appeared in the garden. He began to tempt Eve, questioning God's commands and tempting her to disobey. The serpent promised Eve that if she ate the forbidden fruit, she would become like God, knowing good and evil. Eve was tempted by the promise of knowledge and power. She looked at the fruit, and it seemed desirable to her. She took a bite, and then she gave some to Adam. He also ate, and immediately they felt a sense of shame and guilt. They realized they had disobeyed God's command, and they felt naked and vulnerable. They sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves, but they knew they couldn't hide from God. God came to the garden calling out to Adam and Eve. They hid from him, afraid of his judgment, but God found them, and he asked them what they had done. Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent. God listened to their excuses, but he knew they were responsible for their actions. He told them that they would have to leave the garden, and they would have to work hard to survive. He cursed the serpent, and promised that one day a descendant of Eve would crush the serpent's head. Adam and Eve left the garden, beginning a new life outside of paradise. They faced many challenges, but they also experienced God's mercy and forgiveness. They had children, and their descendants went on to populate the earth.